One night, while looking out of a hole in the ground, a guy found himself incredibly shocked as he thought he had been reborn. Trying to get out of the hole, the guy could hardly do anything as the body seemed incredibly stiff to him. He even thought that the owner of the body was starving, and that's why his body was in such a state. The last thing the guy remembered about his life was sitting quietly in front of his computer at home and just downloaded the game Plants vs. Zombies Addendum onto his computer. As soon as he opened the game, his screen went black. When he opened his eyes, however, he found himself in this strange place. He even started complaining about his life and that he should not have downloaded the pirated version of the game and then the mod for this game. Suddenly, in front of him, he saw a nameplate on the pit he had just climbed out of. At the same moment, scraps of memories rushed into his head. The guy whose body he moved into was called Jiang Wei, and the pit he crawled out of was his grave. The guy even complained, because if he had been in this place earlier, he would have even been able to talk to the owner of the body. However, now that the new Jiang Wei had now taken up residence in his body, so the pit had to be buried as soon as possible so as not to attract unnecessary attention. Suddenly, the space around the guy lit up with a green light. Jiang Wei thought that he had gotten a portable transmigration system after all, as if he was in a novel. However, there was no limit to his surprise when he discovered that the system looked just like the one in the game. It was possible to plant as many as 54 squares with various plants. Opening the spiritual plant guide, he began to familiarize himself with the plants available to him. The first was spiritual sunflower, which required a unit of spiritual chi to plant. Spiritual sunflower could produce a unit of spiritual chi per day. Spiritual sunflower twins already produced 2 units of spiritual chi per day. Spiritual sunflower empress would already be able to produce 20 units of spiritual chi per day. Further improvements were unknown. Spiritual chi units were the total amount of spiritual energy in a person's first-level body. The guy was surprised after learning all this information about the plant. He even thought that it was as if he had entered the world of cultivation. Even an ordinary sunflower in this world could produce energy. Turning his attention to the other plant, he couldn't help but notice that the pea in this world had a strange name: Bean Brother. The power of each of his attacks was comparable to that of a person who had reached the highest level of chi refining stage refinement. Bean Brother twins produced 2 attacks at the same time. Wild Bean Brother produced 8 attacks at the same time. The third Bean Brother enhancement was also unknown. Jiang Wei immediately noticed that every single plant in this world could be improved. He even wondered if he could transform Bean Brother into Bean Emperor. The guy realized that the world of immortal cultivators appeared before him. Therefore, a ghostly hope appeared in front of him for a moment that once he reached a high level, he would be able to return to Earth. Spiritual energy in this world was the most valuable resource for refinement. If he could obtain a unit of spiritual chi every day and plant the entire area with spiritual sunflower, it would be incredibly awesome. After all, he would then be able to obtain 55 units of spiritual chi daily, and that was an incredible fortune. Jiang Wei was already about to plant the spiritual sunflower. Suddenly, he heard some noise, as if someone had arrived at the graveyard. The guy tried to return to his place in the pit. He could not understand who could wander in such a wilderness. To accomplish what he had planned, he needed to make sure that no one could find out about his return. His body was too stiff, so he needed to hide. Suddenly, a young girl appeared in front of his grave, begging the guy to let her see her brother one last time. The tears from the girl's eyes could not stop. The guy behind her noted for the umpteenth time that her brother was dead. He told the girl to hurry up and throw the papers into the pit, and then he was going to burn the corpse with his fire. After that, he was going to marry the girl. He even declares that the girl is lucky to be chosen by a cultivator like him. The sister begs the guy not to burn her brother's body, plus she reminds him that the guy and her brother were best friends. Jiang Wei recognized the girl's voice. The girl's name was Jiang Qian, and she was Jiang Wei's younger sister. The guy remembered that the original Jiang Wei had died while climbing up the mountain to get herbs to earn money for his sister's studies. The guy who came with the girl was known as Lin Hao. After passing the exam, he moved on to the qi refining stage. He managed to take advantage of Jiang Wei's death and intimidate Jiang Qian. Her sister couldn't calm down. She felt sorry that her brother had devoted his entire life to her and didn't even have time to get married. She remembered her brother reassuring her when she was afraid of ghosts. Her sister complained that she hadn't had time to weave a linen garment for her brother before he died, so she asked her brother to wear it now. The girl continued to grieve for her brother who had passed away at such an early age, and she didn't understand how she could live without her brother. Lin Hao became furious when he heard the girl's words. He gave her 50 grams of silver, which would be enough for food and clothing for a year, and she spent it on this piece of cloth. He commanded that the girl obediently serve him from now on. The girl, having accomplished everything she wanted for the last time, tried to hit her head on the rock. However, Lin Hao grabbed her by the neck and was surprised at the girl's insolence, as he had already bought her. And then he decided to punish the girl by pointing out her inferior position in their family. Jiang Wei was tired of putting up with Lin Hao's words and actions, and had no intention of leaving his new sister in trouble. He grabbed Lin Hao's leg and asked if he had stopped being human when he became a cultivator. With a zombie look, Jiang Wei wondered if his so-called friend had decided to abuse his sister in his absence. Lin Hao was incredibly scared, for he knew that Jiang Wei was dead, so he didn't realize what kind of creature was in front of him. Jiang Qian was incredibly happy. Tears of joy were pouring from her eyes. She was so happy that her brother had come to see her. Lin Hao was too scared and thought that it was impossible. After all, he had definitely seen that Jiang Wei was dead. However, he remembered that maybe the yin qi had not left Jiang Wei's body yet, causing Jiang Wei to turn into a zombie. Lin Hao heard that if he poured molten iron over the corpse, it would gain extraordinary strength and become invincible. Lin Hao was incredibly happy and thought that even the gods favored him. He thought that brother and sister were his gifts of destiny. He decided that Jiang Wei would become his guardian and Jiang Qian would become his concubine. The cocky Lin Hao was going to show off his new skills and his jade sword. Jiang Qian didn't stand by. She pounced on the guy and told her brother to run away. However, this infuriated Lin Hao, and he declared that the girl's brother had been dead for a long time. He told the girl to stay out of his way and elbowed her, after which the girl fell down and lost consciousness. Jiang Wei was not going to let go of Lin Hao's lunges towards him and his sister. He wants to remind the taste of fists for Lin Hao, who had apparently forgotten it already. Lin Hao, on the other hand, only mocks the guy for going to fight the cultivator with his fists. Jiang Wei was well aware that Lin Hao had been training for the past half a year. And the guy's newfound system only had spiritual sunflower. He even thought of planting Bean Brother, as he couldn't give up. The guy realized that he needed to fulfill the last will of the owner of his new body. The system was not easy to master, so he needed prompts. He only looked through the plant directory, but he couldn't understand anything. Suddenly, he saw himself in the system window. A regular zombie, a recently deceased human who was immune to pain. The next upgrade was already a head guard zombie. Takes care of the brain, increasing resilience. The next upgrade was the Iron Head zombie. This zombie's head and body are as hard and strong as iron. Further upgrades were still unknown. Lin Hao went on the attack swinging his blade and didn't leave the guy any time to think. Jiang Wei realized that an ordinary zombie was completely useless. The guy knew very well that fighting an immortal cultivator without upgrade was pointless, and he didn't even know how to obtain an upgrade. At the very last moment, a rather strange theory popped into his head, and he decided to eat the spiritual sunflower. Lin Hao swung his jade sword and touched Jiang Wei's shoulder. He was surprised because nothing happened, and the newly risen zombie was able to easily block his attack. Jiang Wei confirmed his theory that zombies were destined to eat plants. The zombie's body had absorbed the spiritual energy. Jiang Wei was shocked himself, for he was now a grand master of the first stage of qi purification, even though he was a zombie. Jiang Wei remarks that the path of immortality is a long one, and that it seems Lin Hao had only been practicing for half a year, and had only recently stepped into the qi refining stage. He wondered how Lin Hao would be able to break through his defenses. Jiang Wei declared that it was his turn to attack. He opened his mouth like a zombie and rushed over to try to eat Lin Hao to avenge his sister. Lin Hao was too much scared and tried to scare the zombie away that the zombie couldn't kill him since he was immortal. From being so badly frightened, Lin Hao lost consciousness. Jiang Wei remembered that zombies scare people so much that they can die just from the mere sight of them. Jiang Wei remembered that Lin Hao had not been very brave since he was a child, and after becoming immortal, Lin Hao seemed to have lost this quality. The system immediately reported that a new body had been found and asked the guy if he wanted it. Once the guy accepted the system's offer, then the system once again reported that the guy had obtained a new zombie body of the normal type and that the attributes had been synchronized. So weak was the immortal cultivator named Lin Hao. Jiang Wei was glad that the zombie handbook could help him collect new bodies. He was already anticipating that he would be able to find a graveyard of gods or demons, and then his life would become even more beautiful. Glancing at the system window, he noticed that the body and all attributes were synchronized with the main body. He realized that he had obtained the abilities of immortal Lin Hao and had reached the high level of the first stage of qi purification. Attributes: inferior water spirit root. After examining his body, the guy surprisingly noticed that his body was more mobile than before. Therefore, he thought that it was all because of Lin Hao's abilities. Jiang Wei was happy, because now he could fully realize that the system he had obtained was peerless. He still had a lot more to learn, for he didn't even realize what he should perfect yet. However, looking at the vastness that was opening before him, he decided that he first needed to find a place to grow plants and zombies. 3 days later, a guy was wandering through the forest with his sister. When his sister stopped, he asked her to walk faster because they needed to get to Shengjia village on time. The girl still couldn't believe that her brother was alive and tears came to her eyes. The brother tries to reassure his sister that he had already explained to her that his death was fake. He was alive now, so he didn't understand why his sister didn't believe him. The sister is not so stupid and has already noticed that her brother doesn't eat, drink, or even get tired. And yet her brother wasn't like this before the alleged fake death. The guy notices that this process is called the last shining of the setting sun. God did not accept him and let him move on with his life. However, the sister took 3 steps back as if she didn't believe her brother's words at all. Suddenly, the forest went dark, and the girl was left alone with her new brother. Jiang Wei, with the intimidating look of anyone, slowly approached the girl and assured that he would not harm her. He even made up a story that Lin Hao just wanted to go to the toilet, and so he went back home. Jiang Qian started questioning her suspicious brother. She inquired about the name of the grandmother who used to treat them to steamed buns when they were kids. The guy assumed that her name was Auntie Mo. Such an answer did not satisfy his sister, and she started to run away, for it was Auntie Ha. Jiang Wei did not remember anything about it. His sister then asked what time the grandfather living next door woke up to weave baskets. Jiang Wei assumed that grandfather was doing it at 4 hours and 30 minutes in the morning, but the answer was wrong. The sister asked the questions again and again, hoping to get at least one correct answer. However, the brother failed the test again and again and answered incorrectly. The guy was disappointed because Jiang Wei had died too long ago and his brain cells had long since died, so the guy couldn't remember anything from Jiang Wei's life. Jiang Qian really wanted to believe that her brother was alive, but reality told her the harsh truth that it was not really her brother in front of her. There was only one thing left of Jiang Wei to the guy, and that was what he could detect in the system. Jiang Wei was very worried about his sister, so the system asks for the guy to provide his sister with a stable life. The reward for completing this task was to unlock Headguard Zombie and improve his body characteristics. In the end, eventually Jiang Qian confesses that she is well aware that her brother is already dead, so she asks that the creature in front of her not lie to her. She is even willing to have the creature eat her. However, in return, she asks that the creature not mock her brother's body and let her brother rest in peace. The guy realized at this moment just how lucky Jiang Wei was to have a sister. Deciding not to torture the girl, the guy confesses that he really is not her brother and that he himself does not know who he is. However, he assures the girl that her brother left a task for him to make his sister happy. The girl ran up to the guy and hugged him. She begged the guy to let her see her brother. At this point, the guy, for the umpteenth time, realized that he was the walking dead. Even though using Lin Hao's body, he was able to revive his current body, he realized that he would never get tired, hungry, or want to sleep. Even if he wanted to cry, he wouldn't be able to cry. The guy only sadly notices that perhaps his heart and emotions will gradually die too. Now he could not fully understand whether he would return to the earth as the same person. Jiang Qian soon calmed down when she received the answer to her question. After a while, the brother and sister arrived at Shengjia village. There was no way they could return to their home village. Lin Hao had devastated the brother and sister's house, and besides, the villagers should not know about Jiang Wei's return. With the body of the first stage qi refining body, Jiang Wei smashed the stone wall with a single blow, so the village chief had no choice but to believe that the guy was an immortal cultivator. However, after that, the wall had to be rebuilt for a long time because it was property damage. The money the guy found in Lin Hao's pocket, he had to give in exchange for the village chief adopting his sister, Jiang Qian. The village chief refused, but Jiang Wei insisted. Jiang Qian fell asleep quite quickly as soon as she lay down on the bed. The guy realized that the girl must have been exhausted over the past few days. Furthermore, he realized that the mission he had promised to accomplish for Jiang Wei had been completed. Jiang Wei realized that the road of immortality was too long, so he would not be able to take such a small girl with him. Looking at the sleeping girl, the guy promises that he will come back for her when he becomes famous. Looking at his inventory, he complains that he has nothing but the sword that Lin Hao used to wield. The system reported something about the sword, that the iron plating provides low protection for the whole body, and this information didn't please the guy. 3 days later, Jiang Wei was alone in the forest. It had already been 6 days since he had awakened in this world. In the past few days, he had planted 5 rows of 30 spiritual sunflower each. At midnight of the 7th day, he should already have 32 units of spiritual energy. He wasn't going to stop there and decided to plant something else. Examining his system and other plants, he came to the conclusion that other plants would help him increase his defense. Jiang Wei decided that the remaining 4 rows would be beneficial to plant beans, walnuts, dwarf winter melons, and sweet potato. After that, he still had 3 extra units of spiritual qi left, which meant he needed to plant more spiritual sunflower to strengthen his body. He calculated that he would receive 31 units of spiritual qi every day, which was 12 times the attack power of Bean Brother in the first stage of qi refining, 6 times the damage of nuts in the 5th stage of qi refining, and 4 times the damage of dwarf winter melon in the 5th stage of qi refining. He also wanted to set up 2 sweet potato mines that would deal equal damage at the 5th stage of qi purification. With a sinister smirk on his face, he was about to complete Lin Hao's life mission. Jiang Wei nobly notices that the guy's body had been given a second chance. Finally, he looked at the missions in Lin Hao's life. A flood of Lin Hao's life missions rushed at him. Mission number 1 is to mess with Jiang Wei and take away his sister. Mission 2, take the herbs to the Jade Spring. Mission 3, stay with Lin Shishi's older sister forever. Mission 4, stay with Xia Yun's older sister forever. Mission 5, stay with Big Sister Chi Siru forever. Mission 6, invite Big Sister Li Area to change her name and stay with her forever. Mission 7, avoid zombie tide. However, despite Lin Hao's lowly desires, Jiang Wei found something interesting. He was curious about what zombie tide was. Jiang Wei decided that the first thing he needed to do was to find the Jade Spring. Looking at the plaque in his hands, the guy thought that this was the item that would point him in the direction of the Jade Spring. Pointing in one direction around him, he noticed that the glow was much stronger in one particular direction. Jiang Wei decided to choose Lin Hao's body for this mission. Advancing towards the supposed location of the Jade Spring, the guy stopped abruptly when he heard a noise. Someone was complaining that they were having trouble exterminating the 2-headed wolfhounds. Climbing onto a tree branch, Jiang Wei noticed that not far away from him, several 2-headed wolfhounds surrounded the 2 girls. One of the girls complained that she had no spiritual energy left at all. The dark-haired girl asked the other girl to hold on, because the brothers would soon come and rescue them. The girl with blonde hair couldn't activate the jade sword technique 3 times in a row, so it was hard for her. The guy recognized one of the girls, for it was Eria, Lin Hao's older sister. He had a great chance to save the girl and return with her. The guy was aware of his strength, and he could deal with the monsters that were in front of him. Eria tried to reassure the girl that help was on the way. At this moment, Jiang Wei, in the guise of Lin Hao, jumped out of the bushes and assured that he had come to help his sisters. Suddenly, the system announced that the guy had found materials that could be used to grow plants, and the system wondered if the guy wanted to collect the materials. Jiang Wei couldn't miss such a moment because it was like a bargain promotion at the store to buy goods. Therefore, he asked the sisters to wait a little longer as he needed to see the instruction manual. The girls were even confused in such a situation. However, these cute and helpless girls, after a second, became incredibly furious because it seemed to them that Lin Hao seemed to be mocking them. The system took the body of the two-headed wolfhound and asked if the guy wanted to use this monster on spiritual sunflower. That was exactly what the guy wanted, so he agreed to the system's suggestion. At the same moment, the guy saw the two-headed wolfhound start biting spiritual sunflower, and after just a moment, the two began to connect. Spiritual sunflower began to split into two bodies, and then the system reported that the guy had upgraded spiritual sunflower to spiritual sunflower twins, doubling the spiritual energy. Zhang Wei's eyes lit up and saliva came out of his mouth because it was exactly the same as the pirated version of the game he had originally downloaded. The author hints that we should never download pirated versions of games to avoid getting into this situation. The story with the girl was curious, for he did not pretend further and confessed to the girl that he was not her brother. He could have said something about remembering his past life or that he hit his head and temporarily lost his memory. But he chose to admit right away that he was a completely different person. What do you think of this story about a guy's adventures in a new world as a zombie who is forced to be a farmer? Have you played Plants vs. Zombies? And that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you would like to see a sequel, please like, subscribe to the channel, and leave your wishes in the comments. You can also subscribe to Telegram to know about new videos. Bye everybody.